Roar into the roar of anticipation. Lions News. Fan report here with that electric feeling in your bones. Smash that like button and subscribe if you believe this defense is about to make a legendary leap. Picture Ford Field on a crisp fall night. The crowd's pulse matches a drumbeat in Detroit's front seven, eager for the missing spark that turns a good defense into an unstoppable force. Could the Lions' pass rush finally ascend to elite status? Is Brad Holmes bold enough to bet big on a game-changing edge presence? What if the one piece that pushes Aiden Hutchinson from Defensive Player of the Year contender to outright MVP candidate is already wearing Honolulu blue? We all remember how Hutch dominated before his Week 6 injury, racking up 19 tackles, 7.5 sacks, a forced fumble, and an astonishing 72 pass rush wins in just 5 games, the most ever in that span for any defender per PFF. Now, fully healthy, he's primed to pick up right where he left off, yet the road ahead is littered with monsters. Lamar Jackson's escapability, Patrick Mahomes' pocket-destroying wizardry, Joe Burrow's laser-sharp accuracy, and even old friend Matthew Stafford, returning to haunt his former team. Last season, Goff and the Lions showed they can duel with the best, matching Josh Allen's 4 touchdowns in that wild Week 15 shootout and outlasting Brock Purdy's 49ers offense 2 weeks later, but they needed a healthy defense to seal the deal. With Kelvin Shepard's unit down both Alan McNeil and Malcolm Rodriguez until late fall and Marcus Davenport's injury history looming, Detroit needs that dynamic complement to Hutchinson's relentless power. Enter the tantalizing possibility of trading for the prolific Trey Hendrickson, a 30-year-old sack machine on the Bengals holding out for his payday. But before we chase that long-term contract headache and surrender precious draft capital, isn't there a more seamless solution already in our rear view? Imagine welcoming back a familiar warrior whose brief stint here ignited a spark, Zadarius Smith. In just 7 starts wearing the blue and silver, Smith tallied 12 tackles, 4 sacks, and even knocked down a pass, all while galvanizing the locker room with veteran leadership and pure passion. Detroit fell in love with his motor, his camaraderie, and his willingness to dive headfirst into every play. Rumors swirl that he's itching to return, that he'd leap at another 1-year deal, and that his market won't break the bank like a multi-year bid for Hendrickson. Yes, age whispers, 32, but if last year's combined 35 tackles and 9 sacks across Cleveland and Detroit taught us anything, it's that Smith still has plenty of gas in the tank. So here's the cliffhanger burning under the Sunday lights. Will Holmes double down on the fiery veteran who's already proven he's bought into the culture, or will he pursue the contract-driven holdout destined to test the Lions' unity? The answer could redefine Detroit's Super Bowl destiny. Stay tuned because this saga is just beginning, and you won't want to miss how it all unfolds. If you believe the Lions are finally ready to roar, hit that like button, and let's finish what we started, because what comes next could define a generation of Detroit football. Imagine a defensive front that combines the unrelenting ferocity of Aiden Hutchinson with the seasoned savvy of Zadarius Smith, a front so fearsome that opposing quarterbacks wake up in a cold sweat. If Holmes moves swiftly to lock Smith back into Honolulu blue, we're not just adding another edge rusher. We're reinstating a leader who already understands the heartbeat of this locker room and carries the weight of playoff expectations on his broad shoulders. Picture a Week 1 clash against the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson dropping back under pressure from both sides, eyes darting for an escape route that doesn't exist. That's the vision Smith brings. The veteran know-how to set the edge, collapse the pocket, and chase down mobile QBs like a bloodhound. And when he teams up with Hutch, fresh off his Defensive Player of the Year buzz and with every sack-hungry fan exploding in jubilation, the dynamic duo becomes the kind of pass-rush tandem you tell your grandkids about. This is the kind of impact where PFF numbers skyrocket overnight and where salary cap whispers turn into concrete reality. 2 premier talents, 1 dominant identity. But think beyond the stats. Think about the moments in Lions lore when a single spark changed everything. In 1991, Chris Spielman and Benny Blades embodied blue-collar tenacity that fueled a run to the NFC Championship. In 2016, Ziggy Ansah's late-game heroics sparked hope after decades of rebuild. Now, fast forward to 2025, Brandon Shepard's scheme, Darwin's aerial assault, Goff's calm under siege, each piece falling into place. Re-signing Smith isn't nostalgia. It's the missing link between those iconic defenses and this current juggernaut. It's the talisman that says, we've arrived. We belong in the conversation with the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Bills. Contrast that with the alternative. Trading for Trey Hendrickson at a king's ransom. Sure, his 18-sack season in 2023 and his relentless motor make headlines, but at what cost? Draft picks that build our future weighed against a contract that ties Holmes's hands when the rookie phenoms knock on the door. Worse yet, would Hendrickson's chemistry click the way Smith's did in his brief Detroit tour? Would he embrace the Lions' Super Bowl or nothing mantra? Or would he view Detroit as a pit stop on the road to his next payday? Detroit fans know that culture isn't built in one afternoon. It's forged in the trenches, in the locker room late at night, on the practice field when nobody's watching. Smith lived that, breathed that, and left with every player singing his praise. Now, imagine the city's reaction, the roar that rattles downtown Detroit when Holes announces Smith's return, the social media frenzy with issue Smith to Detroit trending, faster than a touchdown run, children donning Smith jerseys at training camp, the local press gushing over his mentorship of upward-tilting rookies like Jackson Meeks, the chatter on WXYZ about how this move signals a win-now mentality, ingrained in every inch of Ford Field turf. Combine that with the urgency in St. Brown's voice, Super Bowl or nothing, and you have a narrative that transcends sport, melding hope, pride, and unshakable belief. Let's not gloss over the numbers. In 2024, with Cleveland and Detroit, combined, Smith tallied 35 tackles, 9 sacks, and 2 pass deflections, proving that even at 32, his skill set hasn't dulled. He brings a mentorship edge that accelerates young arms like Sam Williams and Josh Paschal, elevating the entire rotation. He elevates the crowd, too. When Smith's mic'd up and barking commands, every fan leans in, knowing that his voice carries the weight of playoff aspirations. And here's the kicker. Rumor has it the Chargers are circling, ready to poach Smith if Holmes hesitates. Can you feel the tension? A ticking clock in the war room as financials are run. Phone lines light up, and Smith himself calls to plead his case. It's a scene worthy of Hollywood, yet it's unfolding in our own backyard. Detroit stands at a crossroads. One path leads to a franchise-altering reunion with a proven warrior. The other lures with the glitter of a star whose commitment remains, untested here. So where will Brad Holmes place his bet? Will he rekindle the flame with a player who's already etched his name onto our collective psyche, or will he gamble on a fresh face whose contract saga could fracture the very culture we cherish? The answer lies just beyond the trading deadline, in the hushed conference rooms and the roar of converting rumor into reality. One thing is certain, our hearts are pounding, our voices are raised, and our faith in this team has never been stronger. The Detroit Lions are poised for greatness, and this decision will echo through every tackle, every whistle, every moment of this epic season.